Hi, I'm Jane Fendelman, and this talk is about once you get married, where'd the sex go? The story I'm about to tell you is true. I'm 26, sitting on the couch, looking across at my tall, handsome Magnum PI look-alike, then husband of 2 years, thinking, why don't I want to have sex with him? I think he's attractive. We were hot and heavy in the beginning. Why don't I want to have sex with him? If only I knew then what I know now. So we have this joke in our culture, once you get married or make a commitment, there goes the sex. She has a permanent headache. That is not a funny joke. There are 3 causes for the demise of the feminine libido. And you will see even in your LGBTQ relationships, it's similar. I'm going to be talking today largely about penis-vagina relationship. The 3 reasons are connection, old wounds, and masculine sex. Connection. Picture the woman. She comes home from work, sets down her things, goes down into the kitchen, and starts dinner. Shortly thereafter, her man gets home, comes down to the kitchen, says hello to her, stands right next to her, and they're having a conversation. He thinks he's right next to her. But neither one of them knows about the invisible, ever-changing maze with no light switch and no map that she is at the center of. Now, picture the Neanderthal man. He comes home from work, down the hallway, into the kitchen, comes up behind her and grabs her boobs. Yes, he calls them boobs. He never calls them breasts. Honk, honk. She recoils, repulsed. Now, he's a Neanderthal man, so he's either going to get angry and beat his chest and bellow, or he's going to be a baby man and collapse and sulk, maybe for hours. And either man, if they do their thing long enough, can pressure the woman into having sex with him, even though she's not really there, not ready. Now, imagine the enlightened man. He comes home from work, comes in the door, down the hallway. He comes up behind his woman. He wraps his arms around her, enveloping her in a warm embrace. He breathes her in. He stands next to her. How are you? Who are you? He is stalking her energy because the masculine is the hunter. Where are you now in the maze? He is always going to come in just under her energy and lift her up. The Neanderthal man can't touch her without it turning into sex. In fact, that's one of the biggest complaints women have about men. One of the biggest complaints that men have about women is she never wants to have sex. The enlightened man comes in with a curiosity and an interest like this is his first time meeting her. George Bernard Shaw would muse, my tailor is the only one who greets me sensibly. Each time he meets me, he takes my measurements anew. And that is what I hope to do for you and every person I come in contact with. And when the man comes in as if, I'm meeting you for the first time. Who are you? How are you? My favorite cure for the connection problem is my bonding exercises for couples. They're super simple. There's 5 steps, and it is puppy dog greetings, spoons, bellies, eye gazing, pillow talk. Puppy dog greetings. So whoever's already home, when your mate gets there, you're going to greet them at the door, just like you used to do when you were dating, just like your dog does when they run up to the door and give you a big sloppy kiss and a hug. You can put the burners on low, or put the computer or the phone on pause and put it away. Then step 2, you're going to go down to the bedroom, close the door. Do not answer if the kids bang on the door. They will get used to you connecting being the most important thing that happens at the start of your evening together. You're going to lay down spoon style. We also call this harmonizing position. Normally the feminine goes in front, but if you both had a hard day, you can take turns and switch halfway through. This is 3 to 5 minutes. It is a non-verbal, non-sexual exercise. If you start getting the busy monkey mind, you're just going to silently say thank you and goodbye. I'm just right here, right now, connecting with my beloved. Then after 3 to 5 minutes, you're going to turn over and put your bellies together. 3 to 5 minutes. Also nonverbal, non-sexual. Don't cop a feel, dudes. Then you're going to back up a little bit and you're going to do 1 to 3 minutes of silent eye gazing. Remember what they say, the eyes are the windows to the soul. And we really miss that deep, profound connection. And that's one of the things that she needs the most, guys. That is fullness of presence without any distractions. Just like when you were first dating and you had a single-minded focus on her. That turns her on. You not trying to cup a feel and just drinking her in. Then after 1 to 3 minutes of silent eye gazing, you're going to have 3 to 5 minutes of pillow talk. Ladies first. So, men, you're just going to be silent. You're going to have a poker face. You're going to practice being a compassionate presence. What she needs more than anything is your compassionate, masculine presence. In fact, just your presence can pierce her mood with your thunderbolt of love. Then you're going to switch. Then she's going to be silent and listen to you. The two of you can talk about anything you need to. You can debrief your day. You can talk about a trip you're planning. You can talk about some fight you had that you still know is not resolved and is acting as an obstacle between you. The other person is just going to be listening with compassion and practicing not reacting. You are going to become a safe space in which the other can share their heart and soul and thoughts and feelings with you. After you've completed the bonding exercises, you might make out or make love, but only if she's ready to, guys. Only if she wants to. In fact, I want you to increase non-sexual touching times 10. If your woman is shut down sexually, you need to increase the amount of times that you touch her without it turning into sex. So wait until you get signals from her that she's ready. And if you don't recognize the signal, oh buddy, you better start stalking her energy and really tuning in to what she needs and what she's ready for and what she wants. And I know that sounds like a lot of work, guys, but I promise you, if you really wanted easy, fast sex, it would be better for you to be in a gay relationship with a man. Because you're ready, he's ready, you tap each other on the shoulder or give each other a wink and bam, there you go. Now, I know one of the things that is confusing is in the beginning, she was always ready to go at the drop of a hat. That's because in the beginning, you were courting her and wooing her, and you had a lot of attention on her. You were pulling out chairs and opening doors. So I want you to understand what wildcat to pussy means. In the beginning, you were like two sparkly, wild, jungle cats playing with each other and chasing each other around and having sex behind a tree and chasing down a gazelle and tearing it up with your teeth and playing with your friends and having a big, expansive, wide, sparkly life. And then couples settle in together and you go from being a jungle wildcat to now you're a pussy and you sleep on the end of the bed and you go from the bed to the litter box to the food bowl back to the bed. And you become boring and predictable. And every person needs two things in their beloved relationship. You need to feel close and connected, and you need to feel separate and autonomous. And when you get into that boring pussy, sleeping on the end of the bed, litter box, food bowl, back to the bed, you become boring and predictable and connected, but there's no sparkliness left. Everybody needs a little bit of danger, excitement. I can't control my mate. Do you really want a beloved that you can control and predict their every move? So you need to feel close and connected, and you need to feel separate and autonomous. The second cause for the demise of the feminine libido is old wounds. Now, if a woman feels hurt by you and you have discounted her emotions, her heart starts to close, and her womb is connected to her heart. And if her heart is closed, her legs are closed. Men, I know this is hard to understand because men and women have different brains. Women have a big, thick corpus callosum connecting the right and left hemisphere of their brains. They are fibers. Men have itsy beatsy, teeny tiny, diminished, no offense men, corpus callosum that's like a little dirt road. She's got like a rope. Women are thinking and feeling at the same time all the time. This is very confusing to men because a man can have an emotional experience. He can be hurt or upset, scared or angry. He'll have the emotion, then immediately box it up and put it away in the back of his right brain in that filing cabinet all the way in the back that you always forget about, and then travel over his little dirt road over to where he lives in the left side of his brain. Women don't do that. And men, if you've ever been fishing, you know, when you pick up one fish hook out of the box, they all come with. Well, this is so frustrating to men because when she has an emotion, all the rest come with. One of the other biggest complaints that men have about women is she never lets anything go. And if you've ever made these stupid man mistakes, if you've ever told her, you need to let that go, you need to get over that. You're too sensitive, you're overreacting, you're making a mountain out of a molehill, I already apologize for that. You have probably noticed that is like gasoline on the fire. Has that ever worked, men? Ever? No, it's never worked. So why use it? It's like using a Phillips head screwdriver on a flathead screw. It won't go. So I'm going to give you a flathead screwdriver to work on this flathead screw so that you never have to go round and round with her again about old things that she won't let go that is blocking her sexual connection with you. First, I want you to remember the feminine is the ocean and the masculine is the captain of the ship. So when she starts to churn and rise up into a storm, you are not going to fly at her and try to tamp her down. And you're not going to fly away because that's so big and scary. No, you're going to be right here. You're going to do a metanoia. Metanoia is total reversal in thinking or spiritual awakening. A storm starts kicking up. Your woman is getting wild and stormy and emotional. And instead of saying, like a baby man, calm down, you're overreacting, you're going to be in your grown-up, masculine, good king, leader. You're going to take down the sails, cut the engine, and sit at the rudder and just watch for which way to steer. The metanoia is, instead of telling her to calm down, which never, ever, ever works, you're going to say, let her rip, baby. You're gorgeous when you're angry. I'm just going to sit down right here. I want to hear all your thoughts and feelings. And she is going to feel your masculine presence holding her, not scared, not flying at her, fight or flight, just right here. And you telling her to let it out calms her down. So that is the metanoia. Saying calm down never works. You have to do the opposite. And that works on old wounds that you have caused. I want to give you one caveat to this, because men say, am I just supposed to apologize for everything she says I did? She says a lot of things that I did that I don't agree with. Say this: I am so sorry I hurt you. That was not my intention. So if I accidentally step on your toe and you say, hey, Jane, you stepped on my toe, I can either say, no, I didn't. I did not see that happen. I don't think I stepped on your toe, but you were hurt by my actions. So if I love you, I'm going to apologize. I'm so sorry. That was not my intention to hurt you. Tell me how that felt. One of my other favorite tools for healing old wounds that keeps recycling with your woman is the 3 ways of listening. There is the masculine way, the feminine way, and the knight in shining armor way. The masculine way of listening is listening to fix. She comes home, she comes in the door, she's shaken, she's crying. Someone almost hit me on the freeway and I swerved, and then my hubcap flew off and went rolling down the freeway and blah. And the man who's listening to fix says, oh, yeah, no big deal. I can get that hubcap. There's a website. It'll be here in 3 days. And now she's mad. Why is she mad? She's mad because women usually need the feminine way or the knight in shining armor way. The feminine way of listening is listening with compassion. So your response would be, oh my gosh, that must have been so scary for you. Come here. I need to hug you. Tell me what happened. Are you okay? That's the feminine way of listening. Listening with compassion, not listening to fix. The third way of listening is the knight in shining armor way. That man says this: who did what to my baby? Did you get their license plate? I'll kick their butts. I got your back. That's the third way of listening. So men, this does work with your men friends. So if you're in the locker room and you and your racquetball buddy are changing into your gym clothes and he says, wow, dude, someone swerved in front of me and I swerved, hit the curb, and my hubcap flew off, rolled down the freeway. You're going to say to him, oh, I can get that. I know a website. I'll send you a link. And the guy goes, oh, yeah, thanks, dude. And then you go play. He probably doesn't need a hug. He probably doesn't need you to kick anybody's ass for him. Everything's good. So that's the 3 ways of listening: the masculine way, the feminine way, and the knight in shining armor way. Guys, I just want you to keep in mind that not only is her brain different, her body and cycles are different. Layer on top of that big corpus callosum a menstrual cycle. And she has her light side of the moon, where everything just rolls off her back, and then she ovulates, and then she enters the dark side of her moon. And she's more intolerant of the stupid little things in her life. She might be less patient. She might hold you to a higher standard during this time. And her entire body and her skin changes during this time. So you might touch her one way one day and she's in heaven just sighing with pleasure. And you might go back the next day to touch her the same way. And if she ovulated overnight, she might bark at you, stop touching me like that. It feels like you're burning me with a cigarette. And it's so hard, men, to be with a woman. So my hat really goes off to you because it is a harder job. Women, you have to really give kudos to your man because it's so much of a harder job. And women, You know, you can touch your man the same way every single day. You can turn the same knobs and flip the same switches, turn the same dials, and he will be in ecstasy. So they're easier to work. Women, not only is their body and their brain different, everything's hidden and on the inside. So men, just keep in mind, she has this menstrual cycle that changes her every single day. The third cause for the demise of the feminine libido is masculine sex. Masculine-oriented sex. This is the story of the farmer and his wife. Long time ago, I had a couple come in for their first session. It was the farmer and his wife. They'd been married for almost 40 years. And by this time in their relationship, she just felt like a farm worker and a mother. She didn't feel like a girlfriend or a lover. They had been together for almost 40 years, and by the time they came to see me, their children were grown and gone. It was just the two of them in this big farmhouse working the farm. They hadn't had sex in a year. He was starting to get grumbly and agreed to come to counseling, and she had been having sex with him over all those years, but only occasionally and only out of obligation. They did have chemistry in the beginning, like most couples do, and in the beginning it was hot and heavy. And then they got married and got to work and got to the busyness of busy life, and the courting stopped, and she lost her sex drive. I knew they needed to learn about conscious touch. So I told them, I want to direct you through an exercise. I said to the wife, you're going to close your eyes. And I said to her husband, I want you to touch her arm in a conscious way. I'm going to direct you. We always start with a very light yin touch. Yin is the feminine energy. We always come in under the energy. We never come in too hard, too fast. And then we work our way up to the stronger, more masculine, faster, harder touch. And then we alternate back to the feminine. He did a really great job. He touched her arm, shoulder to fingertips, front and back. He was fully present with the touching. Then after about 8 or so minutes, I asked him to relax his hands. I asked her to open her eyes and lift up her arm. I said, how does that arm feel? And she said, light and tingly. I said, how does it feel compared to the other arm? Lift that arm up. And she said, this arm feels heavy and dead. This arm feels alive. And as she got tears in her eyes, she said, this arm feels loved. I said, great. I'm going to give you a homework assignment to practice this at home. It's going to be a full body, non-sexual, non-verbal touching exercise. Whatever's covered up means don't touch me here. He's going to touch her for about 20 minutes all over. Masculine, feminine, light and strong, alternating. And then you'll switch. You'll touch him. Okay? Okay. Any questions? She said, yes, I just have one question. Who was that? I said, what? What do you mean? She said, who was touching my arm? She said, I know it wasn't you because I could hear your voice across the room. Did you have somebody come in the room? I didn't hear the door open. I smiled. I said, no, that was him. Your husband. She looked at him, and then she said, no, that wasn't him. And I said, that was him. And she looked at him again and she said, no, that wasn't him. in all of their almost 40 years, he had never touched her without it leading to sex. He had never touched her in a giving way. He never touched her body in a way that touched her heart. He had only ever touched her with a taking touch, never a giving touch. Feminine grounded sex is different than masculine grounded. And your woman needs feminine grounded sex at least 50% of the time. You're right. In the beginning, she didn't need that. In the beginning, she could have masculine, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, sex all the time. But it's because you were courting her and giving her your attention and pursuing her and wooing her. And women, allow him to give chase. Don't pursue him. Don't plan all the dates. Don't beg him for love. Relax on your throne and lean back and just start saying, yes, thank you, no, thank you. And a good king knows that he's the leader. He's the initiator. He knows he's in charge. But he also knows that a good king puts his queen and his people ahead of himself. He's going to put her needs ahead of his own. So she needs feminine grounded sex at least half the time. So here's the difference. Think of the masculine like the sun, constant and shining and external, and you can feel it on your skin, and it's so strong, it can burn you, it can kill you. The sun. Now think of the moon, the feminine, ever-changing 28-day cycle. Coincidence? I think not. Every time you look up the sky, she's different. Now, she has a light that's different than the sun. The sun gives first and more, and the moon reflects it back in beauty. You feel the sunlight externally on your skin. You feel the moonlight internally in your heart and soul. The masculine is goal-oriented. Masculine sex is goal-oriented. Now, I'm not saying that women are not goal-oriented. We are. Every woman has a piece of the masculine in her. Most people are predominantly either masculine or feminine grounded. And when they approach sex, if you are a feminine grounded person, you're going to need feminine grounded sex at least half the time. So masculine sex being goal-oriented right down to his penis. It's got a beginning and an end. The end is when we orgasm. The penis points right where it wants to go. The vagina is round, no beginning and no end. Not only is the opening to the vagina round, but it is the portal to the divine. Every person comes down through the portal of transcendence, through the vagina to this earth plane. The masculine brings the spark, the sperm that initiates the ovum that's waiting. And when that sperm enters and pierces her and causes that brilliant, mysterious, beautiful explosion, a soul is pulled down from the heavens into the woman's womb. And she will make the person that will then be delivered into this earth plane. So she's round and infinite. So sex with a woman is never ending. It doesn't begin, it doesn't end. If you want to really woo her and court her properly and she's all shut down sexually, you better start 3 days in advance by coming along, give her a warm embrace, kiss her neck, whisper in her ear how beautiful she is. You better drink her in and breathe her in the way you breathe in a sunset. And when you're checking out her curves, you can't be thinking, how long do I have to wait before I can get in her pants? What kind of things do I have to do before I get in her pants? You can't have a goal in mind because she can feel that, guys. She can feel that goal in mind. Your only thoughts can be, I just want to drink her in. I just want to breathe her in. She's beautiful. She's stunning. The feminine receives. The masculine gives. The masculine wants to empty out. And women, you have to remember, at the end of his workday, he doesn't usually want to talk. He usually wants to be quiet and go to his man cave. That's why you're going to do the bonding exercises. You're just going to be quiet for a while. Then you're going to talk, but it's not going to be for a really long time. He wants to empty out and be quiet and still inside. She's got the womb. She wants to fill up with you. Masculine sex costs you energy. Feminine sex builds, creates energy. So masculine sex is like this. You're going to go for the goal. You're going to do first base, second base, third base, home run. Everybody's going to hopefully orgasm. And then you're going to be tired, dudes, and you're going to want some pizza and then pass out or watch the football game. Feminine-oriented sex, because it has no beginning and no end, she's going to want to be filled up with you, breathe you in. There's going to be long foreplay, lingering touches and eye gazing, glances. You're going to touch the entire body before you go for the gold. You're going to make sure she is sufficiently connected with you. And then when you make love, it might be fast and masculine. It might be slow and lingering. You might go back and forth and play with the energy. And in masculine-oriented sex, the orgasm's over in a very few seconds. And in feminine-oriented sex, you can very likely have a full-body feminine orgasm that floods throughout your body and shoots out your palms and the soles of your feet and the top of your head. And it might go for 15 minutes or a half hour or an hour or 3 hours or a day or 3 days. And that is another talk.